together delivering for the people of Ontario. Nicole, congratulations to you and your team at Ontario Power Generation for what you've accomplished in recent years with the refurbishment, being a driving
We're listening
force
to the Prime Minister in Durham Region, alongside Premier Doug Ford, making a clean energy announcement.
In the Premier, myself, and our governments. Minister Hodgson, Minister Bethlen Falvey, Minister McCarthy, thank you for being here, and to my colleagues from the House, thank you for being here, the MPs from the region. You know, we're united in a mission to create new opportunities for workers and our businesses. We're united to build big, build bold, and build now. Last night, I was at the University of Ottawa, and I highlighted more of our new government's plan to build Canada strong, to transform our economy from one that has become too reliant on the United States to one that's stronger and more resilient, to take control of our future as Canadians. Because the world is increasingly dangerous and divided, and new technologies have brought distant threats to our door. And the trade war is causing massive economic uncertainty that is holding back investment and is costing jobs, including jobs here in Ontario. What we're experiencing is not a transition, it's a rupture. It's a sharp change in a very short period of time. And in order to confront those challenges, in order to emerge stronger, Canadians must chart a new course, our own course. Take control of our future, bet big on ourselves, and, like the Jays, play to win. Yeah. So, in a few weeks' time, on November 4th, we will table our first federal budget. It will make generational investments with a plan to protect our communities, our borders, and our way of life, to build an economy stronger, where everyone has a chance to get ahead, and to empower Canadians with new opportunities, with better careers, and lower cost of living. Our plan, first and foremost, is to build, so we can take control of our future, as I said. In the last 6 months, our government has been relentlessly focused on this mission. We started by creating the right conditions to get big things built faster. Notre plan consiste d'abord et avant tout à bâtir pour être maître de notre propre avenir. Au cours des 6 derniers mois, le nouveau gouvernement du Canada s'est concentré sans relâche sur cette mission. D'abord, nous créons les conditions propices à la réalisation de grands projets plus rapidement.
We are creating the conditions that are conducive to the execution of major projects more quickly.
The construction of major infrastructure projects approval processes. Uncertainty, red tape, duplication, and complicated review processes have held that investment back, curbed investment. You know, to receive approval, major projects had to undergo numerous reviews and assessments that often happen one after another instead of all running in parallel. Say, OPG knows how to run processes in parallel. Our government should be able to run processes in parallel. For too long, when federal agencies examined a new project, their immediate question has been, why? We're changing that. We've changed that. Now we ask, how? At the end of June, we passed the One Canadian Economy Act with bipartisan support. And it removes federal barriers to internal trade, and let me salute the Premier for his leadership as head of the Council of Federation in making that a priority. What that act also does is it fast-tracks the approvals of nation-building projects. In August, we opened what we call the Major Projects Office, which serves as a single point of contact to get nation-building projects built faster. Projects that will turbocharge our economy. Projects which will help Canadians export to new partners around the world. Projects that will create hundreds of thousands, not of just jobs, hundreds of thousands of high-paying careers, good union careers for Canadian workers. In September, we announced the first group, the first tranche of these projects that we referred to the Major Projects Office for accelerated deployment. On top of that list is the new Darlington project, nuclear project. And today, that's why we're here, to make a generational investment, an investment that will extend Canada's world leadership in clean energy. We are an energy superpower, and we are only getting stronger. This project will make us the first in the G7 to have an entirely new kind of nuclear reactor. Aujourd'hui, nous réalisons un investissement sans précédent pour faire du Canada un leader mondial de l'énergie propre.
We are making unprecedented investments to make Canada a global leader in clean energy, to make us the first country in the G7 to have new types of nuclear reactors.
Canada's new government is putting forward two technology, the first of its kind in Canada. And with the Canada Growth Fund, and I want to salute Deborah Rita, the CEO of PSP, who oversees the Canada Growth Fund. With the Canada Growth Fund, we are building 4 small modular reactors, technology that will power homes in Ontario with clean energy. Once built, each new reactor will be able to power 300,000 homes with that clean energy, keeping your lights on and keeping your air clean. This project alone, the first phase of this project, will drive $500 million annually into Ontario's nuclear supply chain, the supply chain Nicole just referenced that has been renewed and reinforced. And it will position Canada as the global leader in the deployment of small modular reactors, a leadership we can take to other markets. La technologie propre, c'est l'avenir. La technologie propre, c'est l'avenir.
Clean technology is the future. And Canada, as being one of the first to preserve and adopt that technology, will be able to support the needs in the global economy. To strengthen Canada's advantage in terms of sustainability, we are launching a new climate competitive strategy. This will help us to reduce our emissions, be more innovative, and be a global leader in clean technologies.
The Darlington new nuclear project will sustain annually, including 18,000 additional jobs during construction. Those 3,700 jobs, they'll extend over the next 65 years. A couple of more World Series trips for the Jays. Jobs like the plant workers who are here with us today, fulfilling careers in the trades, working to provide Ontario families with power. Now, that building doesn't only create those jobs, it also supports our industries. And with our Buy Canadian policy, when we build, we will be our own best customer. And I want to salute this project because over 80% of the procurement for this project will be from within Canada. Nos grands projets seront réalisés Canada. Nos grands projets seront réalisés à l'aide
Our major projects will be implemented using steel from Ontario, aluminum from Quebec, and lumber from BC. We will build these projects with resources and critical minerals coming from across the country, including the Ring of Fire. This will help us to support Canada's industry and workers. When we carry out projects in Canada, we are supporting Canadian industry, Canadian workers, and Canadian families.
Now, I open my comments. The federal government will table our budget in 2 weeks. And in that budget, we're going to have to make responsible choices, difficult choices, pragmatic choices. We will do less of some of the things we want to do so we can do more of what we must do to build a bigger, better Canada. So we can invest in the infrastructure and the industries that grow our economy. Nous allons faire les investissements nécessaires pour protéger nos communautés. Nous allons faire les investissements nécessaires pour
We will make the
protéger nos
investments
communautés.
required to protect our
Pour que vous
communities
puissiez vous sentir en sécurité
so that you
dans
can
votre
feel
quartier.
safe in your
Quand une
neighborhoods,
communauté est sécuritaire, les gens, les familles
with
veulent
safe communities in
s'enraciner,
which
s'y
families
trouver
and
chez
people
soi,
want to
y avoir
settle
une
down,
carrière
finding a home
gratifiante,
and
et
having a
veiller à ce que les
rewarding,
enfants aient une bonne
well-paid career,
éducation.
and ensuring that your
Ces
kids get a
conditions
good
nous aident à
education.
nous sentir en sécurité
These
et
conditions
mettre de
help us to
notre
feel
vie
safe
et à comprendre que
and in
si
control
on
of our
travaille
lives.
fort,
And we
on va
understand that
réussir.
if we work hard, we will succeed.
We're making decisions that empower Canadians. You can build the future that you want. We're creating high-paying union careers in Canada. We'll unlock new apprenticeships and skills training programs, so whether you're switching jobs or just starting out, and we'll also launch a new talent strategy for the next generation of scientists and innovators to build their careers here in Canada. Nous allons miser sur le talent canadien pour que Nous allons miser sur le talent canadien.
We will focus on Canadian talent so that the next generation of innovators and workers can make their careers in Canada. We will create new industries and new markets, and therefore you will have all the competencies required to seize these opportunities.
Has always been a nation of builders, Canadian innovation. In the 90s, we connected PEI in New Brunswick with the Confederation Bridge, spanning an incredible 13 kilometers. Decades before, we built the St. Lawrence Seaway in just 5 years. Cost $340 million back in 1959. That's about $3.5 billion in today's money. But that seaway has moved more than $1 trillion of cargo since. It's created tens of thousands of jobs for Canadians, welders, manufacturers, business owners. The point is, when we bet big on ourselves, when we bet big on the type of infrastructure we're talking about today, we realize the benefit as Ontarians, as Canadians for generations. This Darlington plant won't only build clean technology, it will build Bowmanville, creating high-paying careers and helping families around here get ahead. Look, we used to build things in this country. Now we're building again. Together, we're building Ontario strong. Together, we're building Canada strong. Thank you. Merci. Merci beaucoup. And it's now my great pleasure to give you the Premier of Ontario, Doug Ford.
Well, first of all, good morning, everyone. It's great to be back here, and thank you, Prime Minister, for that kind introduction. I also want to thank Nicole and all the hard-working men and women standing right behind me and everyone else at OPG. You're all absolute champions who keep the lights on in homes across Ontario, as well as 1.5 million homes south of the border. I always say we keep lights on in New York and Michigan and up in Minnesota. And I always say, let's take care of our own first, but we're going to have enough energy, not just to send around the world with SMRs, but large-scale nuclear, send it down south. There's nowhere else I'd want to send it to than our closest friend and ally. And I'm thrilled to be here today alongside Minister Bethvalvy, the Minister of Finance. I call him the Minister of Money. So, Nicole, we have to be nice to that guy because he controls all the money. His pockets go all the way down to his ankles, tight as skin on a grape. Minister Oosterhoff was... yeah, exactly. Minister Oosterhoff, which is doing a great job in energy right across our province. And Minister McCarthy, you're wearing a double hats now. You're interim Minister of Infrastructure as well as Minister of Environment, and thank you for everything you're doing. And you're a hometown boy around here, so we appreciate it. As well as Minister Hodgson and Mayor Foster. I have to tell you something about Tim Hodgson. The guy's an absolute champion. He was a chair of Ontario Hydro. We appreciate everything that you did, Tim. One of his many all-stars. This guy, I'll tell you, didn't they call him killer on the floor?
We did.
Yeah. Take that same approach to government, Tim. I also want to acknowledge our Minister of Energy, Stephen Lecce, who couldn't be here today, and he was pretty bummed out he couldn't make it here. But what Minister Lecce is doing, he's in Nova Scotia with his own important announcement, helping build momentum for SMRs and nuclear power in Atlantic Canada and across the country. So we can use Ontario's nuclear advantage to build a stronger and more united Canada. Friends, this is a critical moment for our province and our country. President Trump is taking direct aim at Canada's economy, workers, and businesses. It's never been more important for us all to pull together to protect Ontario and protect Canada by building a more competitive, resilient, and self-reliant economy that can keep workers on the job no matter what. We're here today at Darlington Nuclear Generating Station, which has been safely and reliably powering Ontario's economy for more than 35 years. Along with the Pickering and Bruce stations, Darlington has made Ontario a global leader, producing safe, reliable, clean, and affordable nuclear energy. And with energy demand in Ontario expected to increase dramatically, we're building on that success. For starters, as the Prime Minister mentioned, we're building the first SMRs in the G7. Matter of fact, we're leading the G7 in building SMRs right here at Darlington, with construction already underway. It's an incredible achievement, but it's only the first step. As work continues, I'm pleased to announce that Ontario is investing up to $1 billion through the Building Ontario Fund to support the construction of these SMRs. And I'm absolutely thrilled that the federal government is stepping up with its own investment of $2 billion. It shows what we can accomplish when Canadians work together across provinces and across party lines. I've always said I don't give two hoots what color of stripe people come from, as long as they work together and collaborate together. And I couldn't ask for a better champion than the person right behind me. He feels the same way. And we're going to do powerful things together and give people hope and show them the future of a strong economy. Because when Canadians work together, we can stand up to anything and anyone, including President Trump. Today's a great first step, but it's also just a down payment. To unlock Ontario's full potential, the SMRs being built at Darlington will help create more than 18,000 Canadian jobs during construction and add more than $38 billion to Canada's GDP over the next 65 years. We're also making sure that at least 80% of the project spending goes to Ontario companies, and we're using Ontario products at every opportunity so that Ontario tax dollars support Ontario workers. That includes using steel made here in the province by Ontario steel workers to build the new SMRs. With tariffs and economic uncertainty hammering Ontario's workers and businesses, this is exactly the sort of investment our province needs. But we need to do even more. That's why we have a plan to expand Ontario's nuclear energy capacity and continue making our province an energy superpower, not just in North America or Canada, but around the world. We're already upgrading and refurbishing the large-scale reactors here in Darlington and at Bruce Power, and we're looking to do the same in Pickering. And we're working with local communities and First Nations to build the first new large-scale nuclear reactors in Canada at Wesleyville in more than 30 years. The benefits of our plan to expand nuclear power are enormous and will produce close to 80,000 jobs and $162 billion added to our GDP during construction, and another 64,000 jobs and $633 billion during operations, and 28,000 megawatts of electricity added to our grid. That's enough to power 28 million homes, including every home in Ontario, with energy left over to export across Canada and to the U.S., to power millions more. And with tariffs taking aim at Ontario, our plan to go big on nuclear will help impacted workers find new, good-paying jobs right here in Ontario. As Ontario builds new nuclear, we're inviting the federal government, and that's a formal invitation, by the way, Prime Minister. we're inviting the federal government to be a partner to help us get it done. In the meantime, our government is doubling down on our plan to protect Ontario, to make our province the most competitive, most resilient, the most self-reliant economy in the G7, so we can continue to attract new jobs and investments and protect our workers. We're cutting red tape to speed up approvals, and we're asking the federal government to do the same. We're also working with the federal government on a coordinated approach to fund important projects like this one, to bring certainty to governments, to protect our balance sheets, to protect ratepayers, and encourage other partners like the Canadian pension funds to participate and invest in these transformational nation-building projects. I'm going to repeat that. We need the support of the pension funds. So hopefully they're listening. I look forward to working with the Prime Minister to share more information as soon as we can. Our government will leave no stone unturned in our mission to protect workers and families. Here in our great province, we have the talent, the resources, and the energy to stand up to anything that comes our way. We'll deliver on our plan to build a stronger, more prosperous Ontario for decades to come. I want to thank you, and may God bless the people of Ontario, and may God bless the people of Canada. Thank you so much.
We've been listening to the Prime Minister alongside Premier Doug Ford announcing a $2 billion investment to support the construction and operation of 4 small modular reactors. This is in the Darlington New Nuclear Project in Bowmanville, Ontario.